So if we have coincident polygon boundaries, this is what we want to avoid. We don't want overlap of polygons, or we don't want gaps between the polygons. And the way that we do this is we use one line as the coincident boundary between two different polygons. This is great for things like parcels or other sorts of polygons showing ownership of land or states or counties or things like that. But sometimes we could have places where we might have gaps and overlaps. For example, if we were spraying pesticide on an area and did that as two separate sprays, there might be some areas that get dosed twice and another area that doesn't get any application at all. So we have to keep that in mind, what we're trying to accomplish when we're editing these polygons. In the case of spraying, we would not want to edit these polygons. In the case of two different counties adjacent to each other, we would want them to have a coincident boundary. Another thing to keep in mind is this file lock, so that as we're editing something, files can be locked so that changes are not overwritten at the same time. There's two different types of changes that can take place. One is called schema changes, and those are ones that affect the structure of the entire table, such as adding or deleting fields or modifying domains within the table. But then we also have edit changes. These change individual features. These could be geographic features on the map, or they could be attribute features in the attribute tables. Both types of these changes will place a file lock on the feature class until the changes that you're making are saved. And so it's not possible to do edits to the table with unsaved schema changes and vice versa. So you can only edit one thing at a time, and this just avoids a lot of confusion that way. So sometimes you have different layers that are in different map projections. And so if these are coming from different coordinate systems, they're all displayed together. And as you do those edits, the coordinates are projected on the fly, so that everything should work out even if you are working in different coordinate systems, but it's something to keep in mind as you make those changes. Some kind of tips and tricks on editing. It's always a great idea to have a backup copy of the layer that you're editing, just in case something goes terribly wrong while you're editing or you make some unforeseen edits. You can obviously have a lot of different GIS layers on your map, but it's probably good to minimize those layers as you're editing, just so you don't get confused and think line work from one layer is part of the layer that you're editing. And of course, just like with anything else you're editing, it's a great idea to save your work often. The more often you save your work, the better the chances that you won't lose any of the edits that you do. And be aware that you can't undo actions that occurred before the most recent save. So as you're saving, just make sure that you're confident enough with what you've done in order to save.